I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. I bought two so they can match. I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. Swipe my card and autograph. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Welcome exiles and happy new years to you all. In today's video, I wanted to give you guys my Abyss Strat that I've been working on and farming for the past week, which revolves around min-maxing Omen of Light and Omen of Abyssal Echo drops, with occasional other good drops as well like divs, perfect currency, and T0 uniques. I'll be explaining and talking about all the tech I found about Abyss in this video, which you could apply to your own Abyss strats, but this strat that I'll be showcasing today is a somewhat expensive endgame one, but it's not too difficult. Most endgame builds out there should be able to do it without too many issues. So what's this about? Well, last week I saw a Reddit post of someone talking about how abyssal monsters with the Amanamu's Void modifier have two different loot tables for omens based on whether you kill the monsters inside the Void Storm or outside the Void Storm. And that got me thinking, why don't I min-max that interaction? And it turned out kinda insane. But before I get into the atlas, tablets, and how to roll your maps, I want to quickly explain all the basics about Abyss and how it works. For those of you that just want the strat, I'll leave timestamps in the video so you can skip ahead. Now, when we kill monsters near an Abyss, they get revived and come back up from the pit as Abyss monsters. The rarity of the Abyss monsters that come up from the pit depends on the rarity of the slain monsters. So, if we kill rares, we get rares. The Abyss monsters that come up from the pit also take the mods from the previously slain enemies, and they have a chance to upgrade the stolen modifiers into Abyssal modifiers, and, in some rare occasions, Lichborn modifiers. There are 3 Lichborn modifiers that exist in the game, and they each have their own set of specific effects and rewards. Kurgal's Final Gasp mod causes the monsters to revive and drop currency again. Ulaman's Legion mod spawns copies of the monster, and the copies have a chance to drop additional currency items. And finally, the one we're after, Amanamu's Void. This mod will spawn a Void Storm that stops the monsters from taking damage unless both the player and the monster are either inside the Void Storm or outside the Void Storm. It also causes the Abyss monster to drop Abyssal Omens when defeated. The types of omens that it can drop depend on whether you kill the monster inside the Void Storm or outside the Void Storm. This is more than likely due to a bug, but basically what we want to do is kill the monster outside the Void Storm, because that allows it to drop Omen of Abyssal Echoes and Omen of Lights, which is going to be our main moneymaker with this strat. If you kill the monster inside the Void Storm, you can only drop Omen of the Liege, which is basically useless. Also, something that I discovered is that the good omens can also drop from normal and magic monsters, as long as they have the Amanamu's Void mod and they die outside the Void Storm. You might be wondering, where's the catch with this strat? Well, the catch is that the Abyss monster loyalty to each Lich gets snapshot when you start a map. What that means is that if you get a map where the Abyss monsters are loyal to Amanamu, they will never be loyal to Ulaman or Kurgal in that map. And of course the same is true if you get Ulaman or Kurgal. So we have a 1 in 3 chance to get a map with Abyssal monsters that are loyal to Amanamu, which is the one that drops omens, and the other 2 will basically give us nothing. Maybe a divine or some ancient currency, but that's about it. But despite this RNG factor, on average, every 10 maps you should expect around 5 to 10 divs, 5 to 10 Omen of Lights, and around 30 Omen of Abyssal Echoes. Sometimes you get lucky and get upwards of 20 Omen of Lights and 60 Omen of Abyssal Echoes in a batch of 10 maps, and sometimes you get 1 to 3 Omen of Lights and 10 Omen of Abyssal Echoes, but that's just how the nature of this strat works. With that being said, let me show you my atlas first. The main atlas is a fairly generic one, where I get all the % increased effect of map modifier passives, all the % increased effect of tablet passives, and all the % increased number of rare monster passives. There's 2 things I want to talk about here though. First off, why haven't I taken local knowledge? Well, from what I know, omens are not considered currency, so it would kinda work against our main goal of maxing out the amount of omens we get. Also, there's a lot of good map layouts with different biomes that aren't swamp or water biomes that I like running this strategy on, so it would basically make the loot even worse on those maps. The second thing I want to talk about is Remnants of Power. This notable gives 20% chance to double the effects of our tablets, which includes the unique tablets. This is basically the second big RNG factor. When we get this passive to proc on a map where Abyss monsters are loyal to Amanamu, we get upwards of 40 additional Abysses and 13 additional rare monsters, on top of also doubling the effects of the other two rare tablets. This is when I basically end up making upwards of 10 Omen of Lights in a single map. From the League Atlas passives, I'm mainly using Deli and Abyss. Deli is extremely good to juice up the overall loot and pack size of a map, and heavily influences the amount of omens we get. We'll be taking Get Out of My Head and It's Not Rio, It's Not Rio, because they'll give magic and rare monsters in the map an additional modifier which the Abyss monsters coming up from the pits can eat, which further increases our chances at getting the Amanamu Lichborn modifier. We'll also be taking the notable Would You Like to See My Face? This notable makes the map significantly more difficult the further we go into the map, but also significantly more rewarding. On the Abyss side of the Atlas tree, these are the passives that I'm using. We want to grab Dark Bloodlines because it'll give Abyss Pits a 25% chance to spawn all monsters as at least magic. This means that there is a chance that they also spawn as rare monsters as well. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you'll definitely notice the ridiculous amount of extra rare monsters you get. Shadow of Undeath is kinda useless, but I don't like Sprawling Rapture because it feels like there's less monsters and abysses when I tried using it. It's just a feeling I have though, so I'll leave this choice up to you. Unholy Influence will give Abyss monsters 100% increased chance at getting Lichborn mods. This notable is a must-have in order to min-max the amount of omens we get. And finally, From Out of the Pit. Now you might be wondering, why have I taken this notable instead of the Amanamu one if the map snapshot the Abyss loyalty when we enter? Well, because 25% increased effectiveness is way more juice than 25% increased monster spawns. And the 50% increased chance for Amanamu loyalty doesn't mean it's guaranteed, so we'll still be getting maps with the other two useless loyalties, while getting less loot when we do get a map with Amanamu loyalty. Overall, it didn't seem worth it to me, so I stuck with the percent effectiveness notable. Now it's time for the tablets. We're going to be using the unique Abyss tablet Unforeseen Consequences, a rare Abyss tablet, and a Delirium tablet. The Deli tablet makes it a bit awkward at times because it stops the monsters from moving until you get close to them and wait for them to do their Deli attack, but it's absolutely worth the hassle in my opinion. The unique Abyss tablet is the main reason this strat is so expensive and also so profitable. It gives us the Overrun by the Abysso mod and gives us tons of additional abysses and rare monster spawns in our maps. And like I mentioned earlier, its effects have a 20% chance to get doubled by the Atlas passive's Remnants of Power. On both rare tablets, we want rarity and increased number of rare monsters as our prefixes. I did a lot of tests and what I discovered from them is that rarity affects what omens we get. Because of that, I've also got 125% rarity on my gear. As for why percent number of rare monsters, it's because we want to ensure we have as many rare monsters as possible to juice up our abysses. The more rare monsters we kill near abysses, the more rare monsters will come up from the abysses, so this is pretty much a no-brainer. And we already have enough quant from Deli and the Abyss notable, so it's not a problem at all not having any effectiveness on the tablets. The suffixes we want on the Abyss tablet are percent increased chance for Abysso monsters in maps to have Abysso modifiers, and percent increased Abyss monsters. We already have plenty of additional abysses and additional rare monsters from the unique tablet, so we don't need those mods on the rare tablet. You could also use the mod Abysso monsters in map have increased difficulty and reward for each closed pit instead of the percent increased Abyss monsters, but personally I cannot run those maps comfortably with Deli on top, so that choice is up to you. As for the Deli suffixes, we primarily want to get the mod Slaying Rare Monsters in Map pauses the Deli timer. This mod will ensure that we have Deli up permanently throughout the entire map, no matter how long it takes. The only time you ever see the deli timer with this mod is if you're going too fast and the deli mist cannot catch up with you, in which case you have to slow down, go back, and wait for the deli to expand. You could also use the mod Deli Increases Faster with distance from the mirror for some additional difficulty and juice, but personally I don't run that mod because it's almost impossible to find someone selling this 4-mod deli tablet on the trade side. Now it's time I talk about how I roll my maps and what maps I generally try and aim for. I run 6-mod T15 Waystones, and I also use Omen of Chaotic Monsters on them. This is my personal preference because I think it provides the most amount of good Omen drops. It can drive up the cost per map by a bunch though, because we'll want to hunt for the map mod where monsters have one additional modifier with it. So instead of using only 10 Chaotic Omens for 10 maps, it could end up costing upwards of 50 Omens for 10 maps, just because of the +1 mod to rares. But they're still pretty cheap, sitting at 10x each, so for now it's definitely worth it, because this makes it so the Abyss monsters have more overall mods to eat, which means a higher chance for the Abyss monsters to get the Amanamu Lichborn mod. The additional mod also provides Quant and Rarity, and we also get way more overall rare monsters. But I've tried and tested the other 2 Chaotic Omens too, and they're also extremely good. Omen of Chaotic Rarity makes maps a lot more difficult, but as I explained earlier, Rarity affects Omens, so the few Amanamu monsters we get will drop double and sometimes even triple good Omens. Omen of Chaotic Quantity gives the map pack size mods. This Omen will spawn crazy amounts of monsters in our maps, which get revived and doubled up from the Abyss pits. This pairs very well with the Dark Bloodlines Atlas notable, and gives crazy amounts of rare monsters pretty often. The Omens we get aren't going to be the good ones as often as the other 2, but we have so many more Amanamu monsters that it kinda compensates, and we end up dropping about the same amount of good Omens in the long run. This is also the Chaotic Omen that is going to drop us the most amount of consistent raw divines because of all the additional monsters we have. So the choice is up to you. Just don't FOMO and remember that all 3 of the Omens are good and they all will work. As for what map layouts I look for, I generally look for long and linear maps like Ravine, Crimson Shores, Headland, Asmerian Ranges, and so on. If there are none in my vicinity, I go for big open map layouts like Confluence, Rust Bowl, Oasis, Blooming Field, and so on. Some of the map layouts that I think are bad and you should avoid at all costs are the Citadel map layouts, especially the Copper Citadel, Sun Temple, Forge, Molten Vault, and Augury. These maps are the usual suspects that everyone hates, but they also happen to be even worse for Abyss, and most of them will straight up just delete majority of the Abysses that are supposed to spawn. That's about it for this strat. I hope you guys found some of the information in this video useful, and I hope you guys enjoy this strat if you end up trying it out. If you guys have any questions or recommendations, drop them down in the comments below, and I'll reply back to you as soon as I can. If you liked the video and you wish to see my future Path of Exile content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay sane, exiles.
I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. I bought 2 so they can match. I like this, I like that.